Politically, of course, the main problem is whether the two communities, Greek and Turkish, can live and work together.
Has the past bitterness between the Greek, the Turk, and the British been forgotten now?
The past belongs to the past. Everything is forgotten. A new era now started.
Archbishop Makarios had just told me a new era has started. So I went into town, into Lydra Street, Murder Mile, to see if there were any signs of growing enthusiasm. This was my first walk along this street of bitter memory, this street where 30 men and women died, some of them shot in the back. To me, Lydra Street looked drab and apathetic, but not unfriendly. The little shops were full of the sort of things British service families would buy, things like toys and the famous silverware. I wondered who was going to buy them now, when most of the British have left. Where will the customers come from, especially as the general economy of Cyprus is in such a bad state? Just before he left Cyprus, General Darling summed up in a piece disturbed only by the noise of crickets.
There's been a lot of bitterness in the past, obviously, in Cyprus. What's the position now?
Well, I'm glad to say that relations in Cyprus between, shall we say, the soldier, using it in the largest sense of the word, and the local population are excellent. And we really are back to the sort of Cyprus I knew 10 years ago, when one moves very freely about the island and are received with complete friendliness and hospitality.
Can you give an example?
Well, yes, just for example, a little while ago, my wife and I had lunch with the abbot of Cape Andrews. I must admit, during the emergency, we didn't have much in common together. But during the lunch, we were having an excellent lunch with him. He turned to me and he said, General Darling, this is a funny world. And so I retorted and asked him, why was it funny? He said, well, only a few months ago, we were all crying death to General Darling. And now here we are all having lunch together. And whereupon he sort of roared with laughter and slapped his thigh.
Do you think this is a sincere feeling on the part of the Cypriots?
Oh, yes, certainly. I'm sure it is, and naturally they too have made their own contribution.
What do you account for the present goodwill?
Well, I think I can sum it up in two words, or two ways. One is a British soldier, and again I'm using that in the widest sense of the word. It includes the sailor and the airman, the policeman, and everyone else. He's made his contribution. And the British soldier, thank God, he never bears ill will to anyone. He's got an excellent sense of humour, and he's a very generous nature. And that is why he is the great soldier that he really is. And the other reason is this, I think, is this, that if you're playing a game of tennis, and you're on one side of the net, and there's no one to hit the ball back to you from the other side of the net, you don't play much of a game of tennis. And we have studiously, since the emergency ended, refused to hit the ball back to whoever was serving at us.
The man taking over is an airman. He's Air Marshal MacDonald, and I went to his GHQ at Episcopi. He told me he'd be a man with two hats. He's Commander-in-Chief, Middle East Air Force, and Civil Administrator of the British bases. As you can see, the two areas which still remain British territory are both in the south of the island, and together they total less than 100 square miles. Air Marshal MacDonald told me there'd be no frontier or customs, so I asked him how he saw the bases operating.
Well, not greatly different from what they are at present. We hope that they'll continue to run just as they run at present as part of Cyprus as a whole, because the bases themselves are really tied to a certain extent to the efficiency of the retained sites.
What law will govern the service wives and the Cypriots in the bases?
Well, the Cyprus Republic will have its own laws, and we also will have our own laws in the sovereign areas, but we have an arrangement for mutual assistance in implementing those laws. We've already discussed it with the Cyprus authorities, and we'll have a joint arrangement for putting them into effect.
In other words, if a man commits murder in these bases, what law will govern him?
Oh, the British law within the bases, but there are many permutations where if he is a Cypriot, committing an offence against a Cypriot may be dealt with by Cypriot authorities.
To operate successfully, the bases will need the goodwill of the Cypriots throughout the island. Do you think you'll get that?
I'm sure we will, yes. I've talked to lots of ordinary people, and I'm sure they're willing to help. And I've certainly got all the assurances that I would ever hope for from the leaders, Archbishop Makarios and Dr. Küçük.
At Government House, the man whose name will always be linked with the final settlement was in his last week of residence, with the Black Watch mounting guard. Sir Hugh Foot, governor for the past 2.5 years. He too seemed optimistic about the future of the island, but I asked him about the other side of the picture.
So Hugh, what are going to be the main difficulties facing the new Cyprus?
Well, there are certainly going to be difficulties and dangers too. There's no doubt about that. But our business has been naturally to see that the new republic gets away to as good a start as possible. Prospect of something like boom conditions for as far ahead as we can see. Politically, of course, the main problem is whether the two communities, Greek and Turkish, can live and work together. And there are certainly difficulties there, but I would say over the experience of the last 1.5 years particularly, when I've been working day by day with both, and we've solved one problem after another, or they have rather, together, that there are good prospects of their being able to work and live effectively together, as they've done in peace for 100 years or more.
Do you think there's enthusiasm for the new regime?
No, enthusiasm is not the word. There's a lot of doubt and misgiving and uncertainty. But I believe that there is an overwhelming feeling amongst all communities that the only way to go is the way that's been set.
Do you think they'll stay in the Commonwealth?
Well, that's for them to say, and it's also for the Commonwealth countries to consider. I myself, speaking personally, greatly hope that they will do so, and I believe there's an overwhelming majority of opinion in favor of it in Cyprus.
So Hugh, looking back now over our 80 years of British rule, have we made a good job of it?
Well, I think on the whole we can be proud of what we've done. It's been a colonial government, it's been an autocratic government, it's run by officials, and I think we can say that the money of a fairly poor island it's been up to now, it's now much better off than it was, has been well spent in the best interests of the people. I think that it has been a well-administered island.
Government House is now the residence of Archbishop Makarios, the first president. There are several other important questions about the future of Cyprus, and I wanted to match the governor's opinions with the views of the president and his vice president. These I got at the building where the Council of Ministers now meets. Until yesterday, 3 flags used to fly above this building. Here's the leader of the Turkish Cypriots, Dr. Küçük, the vice president, and the leader of the Greek Cypriots, President Makarios. My first question was, where will the new Cyprus get her economic aid?
Well, I'm sure that we will have some economic assistance from Great Britain. As you may know, £12 million during the first 5 years. And also I hope that we will have some economic aid from the United Nations or from United States.
Will you accept aid from the Soviet bloc?
I hope that we will not be in such a need.
Cyprus will be taking economic aid from Great Britain, America, United Nations, Turkey and Greece.
Not from the communists?
No.
I think they may well get assistance from the United Nations and other countries too. Some from Greece and Turkey has been promised. But the bulk of the assistance will come from us, and even if there's no assistance from elsewhere, I say the economic outlook is good.
They wouldn't go to the communist bloc for aid, you think?
I should very much doubt it.
What is your attitude towards the British bases on the island? Do you value them here?
Everything is in the Treaty of Establishment.
Yes.
The troops spend in the island more than the total revenue of the government every year, which is a very, very big contribution. It's, I've compared it myself to a spring which brings prosperity flowing through the island. It certainly is so, recognized by everyone, even the communists. When we ask the communists whether they want their people to be employed in the bases, they don't say no.
For us, the British base in Cyprus is essential for the peace, Middle East, and for the island.
For the economic survival of the island?
Yes, sir.
Do you value membership of the Commonwealth?
Yes, we will be.
What do you think of the news that certain EOKA men are coming back as part of the Independence Day celebrations?
Well, I think that was certainly to be expected. I negotiated the amnesty, and the arrangement was that we would release people from detention, that we would release people from prison where they had carried out crimes during the emergency, and that some 20 of the principal EOKA men would not be permitted back during our time. But that was an understanding that at the end of that time they would come back.
Well, they are, how to say, they are in exile, and I think it is our duty to welcome them. They worked very hard for the freedom of Cyprus.
You don't think any conflict will come from it?
No, no any conflict.
No comment for this question.
No comments?
Yes.
Is your new regime in Turkey sympathetic to Turkish Cypriots?
Yes, the new government has given us all the assurance and all the sympathy, and we are very happy for this.
Has the past bitterness between the Greek, the Turk, and the British been forgotten now?
The past belongs to the past. Everything is forgotten. A new era now started.
A new country, new stamps. At the post office, they explained to me that no English words would appear on them from now on. Stamps are just one small item that a new state must provide, but there will be many others, and they'll all have to be paid for. And here is the message which President Makarios had prepared for us in celebration of the new republic.
On this great day for Cyprus, its Independence Day, I would like to express my sincere thanks and those of the entire people of Cyprus to all freedom-loving peoples, and especially to the liberal-minded people of Great Britain for their moral support towards the people of Cyprus during their effort from independence. After so many years, Cyprus becomes today an independent state, ready in every respect to play its role in the world family of nations. I look with confidence to the future.
Away from politics and Nicosia, I went to the quaint old harbour at Kyrenia to think about the chances of Greeks and Turks becoming one Cypriot community. It's not going to be easy. As one man said to me, oil and water don't mix. You need someone to stir them together, and that's what the British have done. My own view on the first leg of my Cyprus journey is that for too long, emotion has dominated the island. There's the old-fashioned, slow-moving way of life which won't get the Cypriots anywhere. But there are a few who see a way ahead for Cyprus. It's up to them now.